Hello, crafters. Happy New Year to you. Happy January and, all of its glory. It's always a little sad to say goodbye to the holidays and kind of get back into the swing of things. And of course, this year, 2021, is got a lot of optimism and a lot of worries along with it. So it's not necessarily the funnest time, but hey, we are crafters, so we got to keep ourselves inspired, got to stay creative where we can, even in January. And something I like to do in the new year is kind of set myself some crafting goals and just some life goals to try to keep me inspired. I recently went through my closet and kind of reevaluated my style and just what I wear and things like that. And I do appreciate, I don't know if you're like me, but I do appreciate, especially during transitional months like midwinter, I do appreciate a little wardrobe refresh. But of course, spending a lot of money on that isn't necessarily what we can do right now. But if we could make something a project where we could create some new pieces for ourselves and give ourselves some creative inspiration in the process, that'd be a win, right? So one of my goals for this year is to definitely do more upcycling projects where I take existing garments, maybe they're from my own closet but they don't really fit, or maybe I was given them, or maybe I got them for free, or I thrifted them, something like that. Take some garments that are nice pieces, but they don't quite work for me, and upcycle them into some new pieces, maybe, transform them a little bit so that they work for me and my lifestyle. Hopefully a fun, creative, brain stretching, sewing skill stretching project that would also be theoretically on the cheap. So that's one of our projects that we're going to be doing today. I didn't get footage of me receiving these items, but I did get today's items for free. The first item is actually a shirt that my dad loaned my husband and then gave my husband because my husband liked it, but then my husband never wore it, so then I get it. So thank you, Dad. I love the shirt. Sorry he never wore it, but I'm gonna love it. So we're starting off with a flannel shirt, and we're also going to be working on a sweater that I got in a free box outside someone's house. I don't know. People in my area seem to go through closets and clean garages periodically, and when they do, they often put boxes or little piles out near their driveway just labeled free, or take what you like, or something like that out by their driveway. And so I got a sweater that's a very nice fuzzy cashmere wool blend in one of those boxes. Now that sweater had been shrunk, like it had been washed in the dryer, so it doesn't fit as is, but I think we can make something with it. So those are our two upcycled candidates, upcycling candidates, yeah, our two candidates for upcycling today. Let me show you the items we're working with and then what I'm thinking of for a little transformation. Let's dive in. Well, now we're going to tackle this awesome flannel shirt. Now, this flannel shirt was actually gifted to my husband from my dad because my husband really liked it, but then he hasn't worn it, so that means I get it. Ha 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 ha. Thank you, Dad, for the shirt. I really like it. Now, although I love this shirt, it is a great feeling flannel. It's got this fun black and white print. It's a little too big, especially in the shoulders and the upper torso for me. So I'm going to do one of my favorite projects. You might remember this from my first DIY clothes from Free Stuff video. I used a giant sweatshirt that time. And in that case, and in this case, I'm going to be basically removing the sleeves from the garment, cutting in the shoulders a little bit because those are too big. If I can reduce some of that fabric, make those shoulders a little bit smaller, and maybe even take in the side seams of the garment a little bit, then I can reattach those sleeves and hopefully this will fit me better. Now, I was first introduced to this kind of refashioning project by a blog post on It's Always Autumn. Super awesome blog post. It really blew my mind of how I could easily refashion some of these giant garments, and I'm going to link to her tutorial so you can check that out because it is just really inspiring, and she has really clear step-by-step instructions on how to do this. I'm going to be showing you a little bit faster how I'm going to tackle this, but let's dive right in. Okay, we're back to the shirt. Now I spent a whole bunch of time trying to fold this in half really neatly. You might even be able to tell, it's kind of hard to see, but I also pinned along the seams and actually kind of on this side too and at the shoulders. And I really wanted to get this garment as flat and nicely lined up as possible because I'm going to be tracing another garment on this folded garment, and if the folded one is really messy and wrinkly, then I might get some really weird cut marks. Okay, let's check out the garment that I'm going to use as my template. Hang on. Okay, so I've gotten another flannel shirt that fits me really well, and I'm going to kind of use that as my sort of template for how I want this shirt to be. Now, you can tell the black and white flannel is a great deal larger than this one, but I'm not just going to trace this line and cut that out because that would make this shirt way too small. My shirt here actually has darts in it, so that has some fitting in it that I'm not going to have in this garment. And I have definitely cut these shirts too small before. I've learned my lesson. Find your template shirt. That'll give you some ideas, especially in the shoulders of where you want the shoulders to be. But then make sure when you're cutting this out, you have to leave not only seam allowance, but leave some extra fabric. I will probably be tracing, gosh, maybe, I don't know, 1.5 or 2 inches from this one and trimming it down. Once you sew it up, if it's still too big, you could always take the seams in more. But if you cut too much of the fabric off, the whole thing doesn't fit. Learn from my mistakes, guys. Cut bigger first. Oh my word. Okay, well, that said, let's take a look at the shoulder area, which is kind of the most important bit here. Okay, so my shoulders on this shirt, let's make sure it's all kind of lined up here. Okay, so my shoulders on this shirt are right about here. So it's, oh gosh, maybe 1.5 inches in from this line. I'm just going to kind of mark that with my pen just so that I know where that is. This is my disappearing fabric pen. Again, I'm going to want to cut bigger than this line, but this is just going to kind of give me a hint. Okay, it looks like I also am making the armhole a little smaller. Okay. Okay, so the armhole ends right about here. Okay, so let's see. I'm now also just going to trace kind of the rest of the body. That's going to give me just an idea of where to start with, and then I'll add extra width and length to that. Okay, so it's going to be pretty hard to see on camera, you guys, but let me show you where this ended up. Okay, so just tracing the top garment would give me a line going in right about here, making the armhole a little smaller, and then bringing down from that. Okay, so when I cut, I'm probably going to cut the shoulders a little bit bigger. Maybe instead of doing like 1.5 inches, I'll probably just cut off maybe like 1/2 inch. And I'll kind of trace this part of the pattern a little closer, but then when I get to the sides, I'm probably going to only trim instead of like, gosh, this is almost 2.5 or 3 inches. I'll probably just end up cutting like right about here. And then I want to kind of blend this line into this side line. So this has given me a place to start, but I'm definitely going to want to cut bigger. But now, of course, I got my sleeves. And I'm going to want to trim these down too, but I might wait to do that until I've cut them off. let's wait to do the sleeves. Let's do a little cutting and trimming here. Grabbing a ruler. Okay, what if I give myself maybe like 1.5 inches bigger than this line? What would that look like? It's like, oh, that's almost right there. That's a little too much. What if I start with like 1.5 inches here? Okay, so what if I cut here? My line's here. What if I cut like here? So I'm not actually trimming off that much from the sides. Maybe I want to trim more than that. But I can always cut it in later. Kind of want to add this line into the bottom cuff of the shirt because I don't want to recuff it. Cuff. It's not a cuff, it's a hem. I don't want to rehem it. Okay. Whew. All right, so here was my original trace line. I think I'm probably going to cut closer to here. And then I'm going to cut a little bigger from these shoulder seams. I don't want to cut it too small because that would be a bummer. Such a bummer. All right. Okay, so this is actually kind of interesting. Like my arm, the bottom of my arm might actually kind of extend into the sleeve a little bit. I might have like a little bit of a weird seam. Let's try it. You can always trim it down more later. Okay, here it goes, guys. Woo! Okay. Making sure my garments are all lined up nicely. It's a little tricky cutting through this much fabric, but I think it'll be okay. Okay, I want to make sure I'm actually looking at this the right way. Okay. I think I am going to take a little bit of the sleeve here with me for the underarm area. Okay. And all right, I think here are the sides. Here we go. Here we go. Okay, being pretty conservative here on the sides. And just going to kind of bring it out to meet the side seams. Bring this up a little bit. Hopefully you can see that a little better. Whew! All right. So here's the trimmed down shirt. We'll have to get some pins out of here. Take a look at what this looks like. Oh, got a little extra flap there. Oop, got a few more pins. I used a lot of pins. Always good to pin more. Pin more, so less. Okay. There we go. Whew. All right. From upside down, I can't quite tell if that's good or not. Hope it's good. Okay, let's now look at our sleeves. Okay, where are you, sleeves? There we go. Ooh, ow. Pins. Yikes, man. All right, get that out of there. Okay. So, with this guy, I'm basically going to line up my cuffs and trace again. Okay, so I definitely don't want to mess with this cuff. I don't want to have to be figuring out how to restitch that. So I'm going to basically blend the sleeve into that. Where would this one stop? Okay. Just using it as a pattern. Okay, so this sleeve stops right about here. And it's right about here. Okay, that's cool. But I don't want to trim it down that much. I'm really worried about cutting my sleeves too much. So
this is like the trace line here. I think I'm gonna like cut pretty big around this. I don't want the sleeves to be too short and I don't want them to be too tight. So I'm probably gonna give like 1.5 inches maybe here at the shoulders and just trim a little bit off the sleeves. Let's see here what I'm talking about. So I could always like cuff them if they're still too long, but I don't want to mess it up too much, but I don't have to. Okay, I think I want it to end like right there. Let's do that. I don't want really baggy sleeves, but tight sleeves are no fun, so hopefully we'll find a good middle ground here. Just kind of blend into that side seam. All right, guys, so we have, whoa, we got shirt, we got sleeves, holy moly. I'm going to take out a few more pins and let's look at sewing this. Well, no, we got to pin this thing. We got to pin sleeves. We got to pin some stuff. Now we got to sew some stuff. Let me get that started. Okay, guys, so I am now kind of comparing the trimmed down shirt to the template shirt just to kind of see how I'm doing. I think the shoulders are going to be pretty good, but I think I kind of made the armhole a little wonky. See how big I made this and how deep it is? This normal armhole would be quite a bit smaller. I don't want to make it that small, but I think what I'm going to end up doing is kind of trimming in a little bit and blending that into the side seams, almost making kind of like an A-line shape to try to make up for that armhole that I made too big. Just kind of trim off a little bit and kind of blend it into the side seams there. So let's fold this guy in half again. See if we can get it all lined up nicely for us. Oh boy. This looks a little wacky at this point, but that's okay. Here. All right, I think that's going to be a little bit better. Now let's talk sleeve pinning. Okay, let's get those sleeves on there. I've got this sleeve. It's going to get stitched to the armhole. I think what I'm going to do is actually turn this right side out. Try to have some right sides together here, folks. I'm actually going to put the sleeve on the inside of the shirt so that the right side of the shirt and the right side of the sleeve kind of match up. Let's get it in there. Woohoo! All right, I'm going to try to start pinning top of the sleeve to about the top of the shoulder. I think I might have needed to round off that sleeve a little bit more, so I'll just try to work around that. All right. It's kind of hard to see, but I've got the sleeve on the inside here. Got the other part going on here. I think this is right. Let's keep on pinning. Let's see, just double checking here that we're doing okay in here. I think we're good. Okay. All right. Well, my sleeve almost matches up with my armhole. My armhole is still a little too big. Okay. I think I usually do that, actually. I think I often cut the armhole too long, and I often cut it inward towards the body a little too much when I'm doing this project. So that's a note to self. I need to watch out for that in future, because who needs a giant armhole? Nobody. All right. Okay, we're coming around to the back. I'm gonna keep on pinning here. Try to make things as lined up as possible. Got some uneven cut marks, you know, here and there, but it's okay. We're gonna keep those in the seam allowance. That'll be okay. Yep, armhole's still too big on the other side too. Okay, live and learn. Work on fixing it. Be okay. Okay, well, it's going to be a little hard to see. Of course, we got our garment right side out, or sorry, right side in right now. Okay, so did the pinning all along. Here's where the sleeve goes. Let's see if I can, like, if I just pull it out from the inside. Kind of see what it's looking like. Okay, so it would go like out like that. Hang on. Try to make it so we can see this thing. All right. Whew. Okay, so that's where the sleeve's going. I gotta pin the other one on, and then of course we'll get this sleeve back to the inside, and I'll be using my machine to stitch the sleeves in. Once we have the sleeves in, then I can try it on, kind of get an idea, and after that we'll sew the side seams, if all is well. Okay, gotta keep pinning. Whew. Okay, update you guys. I was pinning the other sleeve on, and it got a little frustrating. I kept noticing that I had extra armhole fabric on the body of the shirt on the back of the garment and not on the front. And I knew the armhole and the sleeve probably wouldn't match perfectly because I cut them separately, and you know, when would that ever happen? When would they match perfectly? But I was trying to figure out why on earth there was so much extra armhole fabric on the back but not on the front. So I kept messing around with it, and I kind of ended up figuring out that I think the shoulder seams on the top of the garment, I thought they were right on the edge of the shoulder, or right at the top of the shoulder. I think they're actually forward a little bit of the shoulder, which is I think what was throwing my armhole placement off. Well, anyway, note to self, hey, when you try on your garment to check it out first, check where that shoulder seam is, because you want to be able to line up your sleeves, maybe using that shoulder seam, but if it's not center, you're going to need to know that. Anyway, long story short, I think I got the sleeves pinned in, and I'm going to do a little sewing. Let's see how this works. Okay guys, well, we got the sleeves stitched on, and now I have pinned the sleeves closed, pinned the side seams closed, and I'm going to stitch those both at the same time. Just stitch the sleeve and then down to the bottom of the garment. I gotta say, even though thought I was pretty careful in like lining things up and you're trying to make sure this garment was smooth and pinned before I traced the other garment on top of it, I've still got some wonky bits. Like the underarm areas don't quite match up exactly, so I'm gonna have to kind of curve around those and gradually work it into the sides. And then somehow I ended up trimming off like too much of one of the sides, so the side seams don't exactly line up, and I had to finagle that. So, you know, the basic project turns complicated. When has that ever happened? That never happens around here. Yeah. Well, anyway, top tip, guys. Yeah, just line up your garments as much as you can. Double check the shoulder seams. It's good to just mark things. Like, where's the top of the sleeve? Where's the top of the shoulder? You know, just so that you can try to line everything up. Or if you make a goof, you can kind of try to compensate and line the garment back up again and be like, oh, I think I trimmed too much on this side or not that side, and you can kind of correct it. And yeah. I think we're probably looking like we're getting close to the end on this guy. I'm going to go and stitch up the side seams. I'm then going to try the garment on and make sure if it's okay. If I need to take the side seams in a little bit more, I will. And then once I'm done, I think I'm going to take my machine and do a zigzag stitch over the raw edges because this flannel really frays. That's kind of my cheapskate way of like serging the edges, even though I don't have a serger. I know there are a lot of other ways you could finish those seams, but that's just what I'm going to do. So let's head over to the sewing machine. I'm going to stitch up the side seams, try it on, and then try to finish those seams. And if all is well, I'll show you the end product. I found this sweater in a box of free things outside someone's house, and it is a beautiful cashmere sweater, but you can tell it's been shrunk, and it's so sad when that happens. I've done that to my own things before. The only thing that makes that even a little bit better is knowing that, hey, that shrunken felted wool can be made into so many projects, especially if the wool is a really soft texture like this sweater is. This one I think could be made into so many things. Sweaters that are wool and itchy, you know, you kind of have to be a little more careful because you might not want to wear them against the skin, but you could use them for other projects and such. I think this one's going to be really versatile because it's so soft. I have washed it and I've shrunk it a little bit more. You know, you wash that sweater on hot, dry it on hot, and just make sure it's shrunk as much as it will go. And then let's see what we're going to do with it. Well, I made up my mind on the sweater. I'm going to use the ends of the sleeves. Don't worry, I'm using the rest of the sweater for another project, but I think I'm going to make some fingerless gloves. See, here's what I'm thinking. Okay, so I kind of want them to fit like this, and I'll make like a little hole for my thumb, and then of course the fingers will extend, you know, through the end of the armhole. Okay, so I've used my disappearing pen here and I kind of marked around the sides of my thumb. And I'm going to cut out kind of a small like hole right there, and then I'll trace that kind of hole on this other one so that I'll hopefully have about the same size. And I think that'll be really cute. I then am experimenting with some ideas for doing like a little bit of decorative reinforcing stitching around the thumb hole and around the base and possibly around the fingers, even though this edge, you know, is nicely finished already. I saw online people doing this cool stitch called a blanket stitch, and I've seen people do it on this kind of fingerless glove before. You're just doing these really cute little loopy stitches around the edge, and it's pretty cute. I haven't really experimented with that before, but I've found some great YouTube videos, so I'm gonna go make a cup of tea, turn on those videos, and experiment. I'll probably do a little practice on like a scrap piece of sweater and see what I like best. I have a really big needle with a big eye to use thick stuff with, and then I have some embroidery floss, but then I also have some crochet thread, which I'm thinking could be really cool with the color variation. I know usually people use the embroidery floss, so I'll experiment. I'll see which one works, and of course I'll link you guys to the blanket stitch tutorial that I use because I'm learning. So I'll send you to an expert for that. But let's cut the hole in these gloves, try to get them even, and then I'll probably turn on some YouTube videos and do a little stitching and experimenting, and I'll show you how they turn out. I got the finger holes cut out. I think that looks pretty good, actually. I'm loving how comfy this felted cashmere is. It's perfect for this. It's super cozy. I did want to share with you guys this, though. This is a little sweater D pillar. I call it a sweater muncher just because that's what it does. This is great to have if you do things with like thrifted sweaters, or even if you have sweaters at home that have all these little fuzz balls everywhere. You kind of run this across the garment, and there's like a little blade inside that trims off those fuzz balls. I've got a ton on this sweater, so I'm gonna definitely need to use this a bit. Yeah, that definitely helped. I had some really big ones. Oh, might go back over it a little bit just to make sure it's good to go. But once I've gotten that done, I'm going to now do a little experimenting with my either embroidery floss or the crochet thread. I think I'll start with the crochet thread and see if I like it, see if it works, and then I'll go from there. Probably do it on like a scrap first and then see which one I like the best for the gloves.
Well, crafters, hope you enjoyed these upcycle projects. I definitely enjoyed tackling some items that were really cozy material, and I feel like they're going to be super comfy and fun to wear here in the cold months. And yeah, definitely some of my favorite pieces so far, I think. Hope you guys had fun, and hope this inspires you to maybe try some upcycle projects of your own. Of course, I'm linking down below to some of the tutorials that helped me make these projects. If you want to check them out, you can try them yourself. I think my biggest feedback for myself on the shirt project is that, hey, I always discovered that I could cut the garment a little bit bigger to start with and sew inward more, and that gives me a little bit of extra leeway for errors and also for fitting issues. I realized this one I could have made a little bit bigger, kind of in the chest area and under the arms, and it might have just given me a little bit more mobility. So that's just a hint from myself as I do this. And yeah, I hope you guys can try some upcycling projects on your own. Free stuff's always good. You could always ask friends and relatives to let you know if they're doing some closet cleaning, or once we can all do like garage sales and rummage sales again, and those are always good sources too. So hope you guys are staying crafty and staying inspired. If you found this video amusing, punch that like button to let me know, and subscribe for more videos from Partners in Craft. All sorts of good upcycles and craft project and fashion-y history stuff coming your way in this new year. So take care, everybody, stay crafty, and we'll see you in our next video. Bye.